Red mic test. Ooh, this is hot. Red mic test again. That's much better. Blue mic test. 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 Blue mic test.
Yep. Like, yeah, just a little tiny bit. Right there is great. Yeah, it's perfect. Thanks. Nice, good. I'm just gonna plug it into this right here. Yeah. All I need. Yes, I noticed that. Thank you. I love it. Yep. Testing, test, 1, 2, check, 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 check. Test, 1, 2, 2, check, 1, 2, 2. Check, testing, 1, 2. Testing, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, check, 1, 2, test.
Good morning, everyone. Go ahead, grab a seat. Try and stop this radio voice in a second. I'd like to welcome everyone in the room today and streaming at home to Houston Oasis, home to Houston secular community. We have a good show for you today. Our musician is Ryan Adam Wells. He will be regaling you with his folk rock stylings. As our main talk today, returning as main speaker is Andrea Murray, Community Outreach Representative of the University of Texas MD Anderson Cancer Center, to speak about health issues with us. Oh, by the way, my name is Tim. Hi, everyone. Yeah. I want to point out our core values to the right of me of Houston Oasis. One of them is, what's a good one today? Meaning comes from making a difference. And I'll point out some ways you can do that later today, because we have a lot of volunteering events coming up. Now for some unfortunate news. Some of you may have already heard, but our dear friend and longtime Oasis member, CB, passed recently. I'm going to turn it over to the mic now to his husband, Kevin, to speak on him. Kevin, if you could come up.
Hi. I mostly just wanted to share this so that I know it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting it either. So just so you know, this is what happened. He beat the effing cancer. Bladder cancer was all clear beginning of last month. But he has been struggling a while with pulmonary hypertension and congestive heart failure. And these two conditions are progressive and especially combined, eventually fatal. He had been in and out of the hospital, we had 4 ER trips in 3 months' time. And each time it was, okay, give him IV meds, get the fluids drained off, get everything stable, he gets to come home. And it felt like just maintenance, but it was end stage. I just didn't realize it and couldn't really admit that. The last trip, last visit to hospital, he was doing fine at first, but then suddenly became septic. Maybe some infection they hadn't detected, and went into heart failure. So they got him to ICU, started pumping him full of meds to keep his blood pressure to where his organs would keep functioning and he would stay alive. But they're very clear, he was not going back. He was not going to come out of this. And he was very clear on his wishes. No life support and no invasive care. And I promised him that I would honor that. So fortunately also, he was able to come home for hospice. I had to make sure that the oxygen supply was at a low level that could be supplied at home, was adequate, and he was finally cleared and allowed to come home. He woke up Monday evening and was alert and lucid, had some family and friends come and visit. He had his very favorite Caesar salad from Cavatori, and at least a few sips of a margarita. His latest indulgence. Don't tell the AA people that. A little secret. And everything quieted down. There was one dear friend who stayed the night with me, and in the morning, he was still resting quietly. Of course, he was on pain meds. Our friend had read him a little poem he'd written overnight while he was breathing so quietly. Then we went to the kitchen and had breakfast. And sometime while we were just chatting and feeling normal, he passed. We had no idea. He made no noise. It was very peaceful. And I'm actually very glad that it was that easy. I want to go that easy. Don't we all? But that is what happened. It was unexpected, but it should have been, but it's hard to face things like this. But there will be a memorial some ways down the road a little bit. And just to clear up a little confusion, I thought I'd give you a little anecdote. CB versus Charles. Okay. He was born while his father was away from home, some kind of business or something, and his mother chose the name Charles Burton Forbes, his father's name and her father's name, and her father's name. When his father got home, he had just had another fight with his father, and he went to file the birth certificate. That was man's job. And he put his own name, Clyde Burton Forbes, on the birth certificate. And his explanation to his mother was, I'll not have my son named after the SOB, or something to that effect. But when I met him, he had explained to me that, well, he just recently, or not too long before, gotten his name legally changed back to Charles. Oh, he never felt like that was his name. He always felt he hated Clyde and didn't care for Burton. So when he was maybe in his teens, he adopted CB, and that was, that sounded cool. He could live with that. But he wanted his name to be officially Charles. He always felt like that should be his name. And I asked him, well, what do you want me to call you? And he said, well, what do you like? And I said, I like the name Charles, always have. I said, I'm going to call you Charles. You had it changed. It needs to be used. So to me and all of my family, he's Charles. But he never got out of the habit of introducing himself as CB, which is fine. But so sometimes I'll waffle back and forth. Okay, well, Charles did this. Oh, and CB, it depends on who I'm talking to. So everybody else, he's still CB. But me and my family, I love the name Charles. So he's my dear Charles. Thank you.
Thank you, Kevin. And like you said, news of a celebration will be forthcoming, probably on our private Facebook page. So if you're not on that, or if you want to hear about that, that's how you will. All right, I'm going to call up our musician now, Ryan Adam Wells. He will regale us with 2 songs, and then we'll break for coffee.
We outran a tornado in Evansville. The sky was green, the air was cold. Made it further on down the road, pulled the car over. Watched the lightning crackle in the storm. There's all kinds of people in this world. All kinds of love, all kinds of hurt. All kinds of places you can go. Cling tight to anything that feels like home. If you seek love, seek it honest. If you seek adventure, seek it with promise. Seek friendship, seek someone who will march with you into hell. If you seek love, start with yourself. We got pulled over outside of Texarkana. The cop just laughed and let us go. We found a cheap motel, the kind of place where roaches dwell. We drank and sang every single song we know. You can find anything that you look for. You can find the time, you can find the miles. You can find the strength to go and keep on going. You can find a path to find your smile. If you seek love, seek it honest. You seek adventure, seek it with promise. If you seek friendship, seek someone who'll march with you into hell. If you seek love, start with yourself. Dinosaurs, blue whales, midnight diners, old gas stations, slice of American pie. A sense of freedom, freedom from longing. Put your faith into the myth, it comes to life. If you seek love, seek it honest. You seek adventure, seek it with promise. If you seek friendship, seek someone who'll march with you into hell. If you seek love, start with yourself. If you seek love, start with yourself. Thank you very much. My name is Ryan Adam Wells. If you guys haven't seen me before or know me, I'm originally from Louisville, Kentucky area. I've been living here for 13, 14 years now. I love it here in Texas. You can find me playing around town, a lot of different places. I have a monthly show at Dan Electro's, fourth Monday of the month. I'm doing original music for 2 hours, 7 to 9. And the Renaissance Fair is about to start. If you go out to the Renaissance Fair, I do 4 shows a day out there every single Saturday and Sunday for 2 months. So come and see me. It's comedy, it's not music. Don't bring the kids. All right, let's see. Down here, I think. This song is about a whirlwind romance I had in Canada over about 2 weeks. The French-Canadian gal. So I learned one French phrase to put into the song. And of course it's a pun, because I live for puns. If you speak any French, hopefully you'll pick up on it. If you don't ask me later, I'll explain it. We buried all our needing gold, what we each thought the meaning was for all these years. I don't know what it's seeming like, but I promise you there's more to me than lust for lies and beer. It's a cold, hard truth, wants don't always align. But you'll miss every exit if you're looking for a sign. And oh, what do we do with these wide eyes and naive truth? Oh, what do we do with nothing on the mind but time and 1900 dreams of you? We drank down the contents of our cups, but weren't sure just what we were supposed to say or when. Time is always speeding up, but there's more to you than lovesick puppy eyes and lies and gin. It's a cold, dark night, the bar's already closed. You tell me good night, Your tears sure don't say so. Oh, oh, what do we do with these wide eyes and naive truths? Oh, oh, what do we do? Nothing on our minds but time and 1900 dreams of you. People push their baggage so far down like it's a sin. Lots of people don't like cabbage because they don't know what it's in. But see, kimchi is so delicious and your baggage makes you you. So what do we do, ma petite chou, when our denials turn to truths? Oh, oh, what do we do with these wide eyes and naive truths? Oh, oh, what do we do? Nothing on the mind but time and 1900 dreams of you. Nothing on our minds but time and 1900 dreams of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ryan. All right, we're going to break now for a coffee break, 10 minutes, and then we'll come back and we'll hear our main speaker. All right? Don't be surprised if there are bulletins in your seat when you get back. Yeah, he wanted to do it very first thing because I'm not going to hold on to it. So. Hand me give me a stack. I'll start up. Hello. Everybody grab a seat, please. If you could, turn your phone to vibrate or silent. Okay, we're going to continue with our main talk. Today's Andrea Murray will be speaking about Your Health Matters. Well, I mean, it does, so there's nothing more to say about that. Let's welcome Andrea Murray to the mic.
All right, good morning, everyone. It's always good to be here. Thank you. That's good. That's good. Okay, so I'm going to go through and we're going to talk about understanding preventing cancer today. So I know I've been here before. I always love coming, but I always love to start off my presentations by reminding people that we never know what people are going through. People you know, people you may live with, even just people that you may encounter. So I always encourage people to share your stories. I love it when people share your stories because I think it's important for people to hear. Even if you're having a cancer screening exam, it just opens up the door to remind people that they need to also have their exams, that they need to also go in and be seen. So let's just encourage each other to do that. And sometimes just by mentioning that you had an exam or something opens that up. So that is part of our mission at MD Anderson in trying to end cancer is that we can do that by sharing the information. Also have lots of things in the back. So if you want to grab a couple extra to share with people, feel free for you to do that. All right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. This is part of a long series, it's like a 4-part series, and it ends with this presentation on understanding and preventing cancer. Leading up to this, I talk a lot about nutrition, healthy eating, exercising, all those different things that really help us to do our best at preventing cancer. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so we're going to go through today what is cancer. So we'll go through breast cancer and colorectal cancer, just because those are two of the top cancers that affect women, but also colorectal cancer affects men. Risk factors, and then we'll go through the screening exams for both. Now, in general, in this image, you see a clump of you see your healthy cells on the side, and in the middle you see a mass of abnormal cells, okay? So abnormal cells, cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. Now, not all abnormal cell growths are going to be cancerous. Some can be benign. But typically what people think, they think of cancer as just one thing, but because we have different cells throughout our body, cancer can be more than 100 different types of diseases, okay? So what you want to remember is that the difference with benign tumors is that most of them can easily be removed. They typically don't threaten your life, and they don't spread. Like here at the bottom, you see how it's beginning to spread, and that is because that's what cancer does. At some point, it wants to spread, depending on the type of cancer that's present, depending on how aggressive it is. So our goal is to always try to figure out what we can do to stop it from getting to this point. That means if we're keeping up with our health exams, then maybe we can find cancer in its earliest stages. And if we're listening to our bodies, and if we have symptoms, we're going in and being checked. So this is what we want to make sure we're doing, and why we want to encourage other people to do the same. Okay, as far as the leading causes of death, I want to go through the tops. It's not on here, but in men, the top 3 cancers are going to be colorectal, prostate cancer, and lung cancer, okay? By top, what I mean is what people are diagnosed with the most here in the U.S. and what people unfortunately tend to die from as far as cancer in the U.S. Now, for women, these cancers are going to be breast cancer, lung cancer, and colorectal cancer, okay? So the reason why we're going to focus on both breast and colorectal today is that both of those can be, we can work to reduce the risk of those by eating well and by exercising, which is what this presentation leads up to. So I'm going to focus on those two today, but keep in mind this is why we want to make sure that we're going and having those screening exams. Now, as far as other leading causes of death, heart disease still beats cancer as far as 23% versus 21%, but typically by making sure you're taking care of your body, you're doing the things we know we should do, right? We all know we should eat well and exercise. We hear that all the time, but sometimes, life gets in the way. We have other things sometimes we rather do, myself included. So we just got to make sure we're doing things to make sure we're taking care of our bodies, okay, so that we can be around here as long as possible. Oh, and I did jump ahead of myself, so here they are listed here, okay? So the top 3 cancers in both men and women. Something I want to say about these is that especially like prostate cancer, breast cancer, and colorectal cancer, they involve parts of our body that we don't like to talk about or don't like to discuss if we're having a symptom. I sometimes will joke with my friends and say, we'll talk about the good food that's going in our bodies, but we won't talk about what it's like coming out, right? No one really likes to talk about that. However, so if someone is having an unusual symptom, sometimes they have even a hard time talking to their doctor about it. So that's why I think it's important, just like when you have your colonoscopies or other colorectal exams, you just mention what it was like for you. It can just be, that part's not too scary or disgusting to talk about. I don't think personally, but maybe that's just me. But so bringing that up can be helpful, and just because colorectal cancer is one of the cancers on the rise and affects both men and women. Okay, so again, we focus on breast and colorectal because what we know from the literature is that being overweight and not being physically active can increase your risk for both types of cancers, okay? So keep in mind, I will be the first person to tell all of us that we're all made in beautiful shapes and sizes. However, body fat doesn't just sit on our body. It actually releases hormones, and it causes a lot of inflammation. So we have to not ignore that. Sometimes, we think about losing weight just to appear and look a certain way, but you want to maintain a healthier weight just to help you reduce the amount of inflammation and amount of body fat you're carrying. As we all get older, a function of aging is that we lose our muscle mass, and a healthy weight is the balance between your muscle mass and your body fat. So we have to do extra sometimes as we get older, just because we are losing muscle mass, just to keep ourselves at a healthy weight. And that's different for everyone, but it shouldn't be something boring. Like one thing that I do at MD Anderson is that I will help people with behavioral changes. And they'll tell me stuff like, well, Andrea, I know I should go for a walk, or I know I should do this. But I was like, well, if you don't like to do that, don't do it. You got to find something you enjoy. So dancing is a way of exercising and doing those types of things. You know, swimming, or if you're a social person, finding something you can do with somebody. But that's going to help in making sure that we're keeping our weight under control and just eating, giving our bodies the nutrients and that we need through healthier foods, so your body can do what it's designed to do and to help to fight off the things we may be exposed to. Okay? Now, risk factors. Now, risk factors are things about you, specific things about you that might increase your risk for developing certain types of diseases. This could be cancer, it can be heart disease, whatever might be present. So you want to know, number one, what your risk factors are so you can share them with your doctor, and you want to do what you can to reduce the risk factors that may that may increase your risk. But we can't control everything, right? So these are some risk factors. Some of these things are things we can control, some things we can't control. So eating a lot of unhealthy foods. So if you're someone who just does not care about what you eat and you just eat any and everything, you know, and you're not consuming fruits and vegetables and all those types of things that we know we should eat, that is a diet rich in unhealthy foods. So you want to think about, if you think of your whole diet of what you're eating, are you giving yourself the things that you need to really arm your body and protect your body with what it needs? Being sedentary, not being active. So sometimes people think of exercising as like putting on special clothes and going to a special place to do a special thing. But like I said, dancing, movement, you want to think of being not being sedentary as movement. How can you move more? If you're someone who doesn't like to go outside in the Houston heat, I understand. It is hot, right? But you can find things indoors you can do. You can do exercises that you find on TV or on a computer. You can do weights. You can do all types of things. You can just dance. You know, you can find things. If you have young ones around, you can do things with them because they're going to be ones that are going to try to keep you active. If you have pets, that's great. You can go walking with them. Swimming, that's great too. So find things you like to do to not be sedentary. With being sedentary, you want to keep in mind, again, beyond weight, is that when you move, you're moving all the fluids in your body. So like, for example, your heart pumps your blood, but the act of walking also pumps your blood. It also moves your bowels. So we need our bowels, we need our blood to move, we need the lymph and our lymph nodes to move. We need to keep things flowing and moving. And so the only way we do that is through movement. So you got to find something that works for you. Everyone knows what works best for them. So you got to find ways to not be sedentary. Now, the next two, smoking and alcohol. So, and I get everyone has their things they love to do, but when you're thinking about cancer, cancer is the uncontrolled growth of abnormal cells. If you're smoking or you're giving that's going to give you thousands of chemicals that your body does not need. Your body has to process those chemicals and eliminate it. So you want to find ways to stop smoking if you are. By smoking, I'm talking about not just cigarettes, but any kind of tobacco, specifically hookah, e-cigarettes, all that's considered smoking. Even if you're smoking other things and you're coughing, then your body has to process those things and eliminate it. So think of it that way. You want to reduce the amount of extra things your body has to deal with, okay? Alcohol, this is kind of newer, so keep in mind that alcohol causes a lot of inflammation. And when I first say this to people, they kind of usually look at me and they roll their eyes, or, you know, and I understand everyone's personal, has their own their own thing with alcohol, or whether if they are someone who likes to drink. But keep in mind that alcohol can cause more inflammation. Even something like red wine, they can have some medicinal benefits. You got to outweigh the risk versus the benefit, okay? So occasional use, with MD Anderson, what we're stating is that even a little bit of alcohol, if you are sensitive or you're at high risk for cancer, can contribute to cancer, and that is true. So you want to find ways to reduce the amount of inflammation your body's going to have to deal with, okay? And alcohol is one of them. Now, the last two are things we cannot control. We cannot control our family or personal history of cancer, but we need to know about it. So I have met a few people in MD Anderson Anderson who either were not close with their family or either their family did not talk about the issues that they've had and they did not realize they were at a high risk for cancer. So then they're developing breast cancer in their 30s and they kind of sometimes realize that, okay, well, I have a genetic link and I had no idea. So you need to know what your risks are because you share genes with your family. Now, just because you may have a genetic risk doesn't automatically assume you're going to develop cancer, but it's something you can look out for and you can prepare for, okay? And the opposite, if you don't have a family history of cancer, it doesn't, that doesn't mean that you're free from developing that type of cancer, okay? So we still need to do our due diligence by making sure we're doing our screening exams. And then age, as we age, we just have more wonderful years in our body, right? More wonderful years of living, of eating, of doing all of those behaviors. So we just gotta just be aware, it's just more that we're doing, okay? So all of these things, no matter what they are, you want to see where you can make changes, where you can, and the things you can't make changes of, you just gotta be aware of it, okay? Okay, question for you guys. You can raise your hand if you like. It doesn't matter what I'm gonna do, what I do. If I'm gonna get cancer, I'll get it no matter what. What do y'all think about that? False. This is something sometimes I hear it more as an excuse, honestly, because if people don't want to sometimes people just don't want to make behavioral changes, and some people don't. I've met people who have lung cancer and they still are smoking, and that's their choice, right? It's always their choice. However, there are things you can do to reduce yourself from developing cancer. Even if you do everything right, you still could develop cancer because we don't live in a bubble, right? We live in a big metropolitan area, but we can still do things to protect ourselves and to really reduce the likelihood of cancer developing. So this is false, okay? Well, I just gave this away, so that tends to happen. I do these presentations so often, I'll sometimes forget that, okay, there's a question in here. Okay, so I'm gonna next go into the two different types of cancers that we're going to focus on, breast cancer and colorectal cancer, okay? Now, even though this is breast cancer, I do want to first state that men can get breast cancer, okay? It is rare, but men can get breast cancer. Before puberty, we all have the same breast tissue, right? It's just that after puberty, women, we get a lot more. So keep in mind that this information is going to apply to men as well, too. If you're a male and you know that a lot of women in your family have developed breast cancer, then it can also put you at a higher risk. Okay, so with breast cancer, we want to think more than just the obvious, more than just the breast. Breast tissue is going to be under your collarbone. It's going to also be your armpits and, of course, all of your breast tissue. But all of that is considered breast tissue. Now, pretty much breast cancer can develop anywhere in the breast. It can develop on the skin. There's a certain type of breast cancer called inflammatory breast cancer where it looks like a rash. And people, if they're thinking lump, they may not think that a breast cancer could be a rash, and it could be a rash. It could also be in your nipple. It can be in the breast tissue. It can be any of those locations. Some things to look out for, and I have a great handout in the back that just has images to remind you of this, so please take this either for yourself or someone else. Okay, of course, breast cancer can be a lump or a mass, but it can also be swelling in your armpit, changes in the skin, in your breast size, shape, or skin texture or color. And this is true too, because again, as we age, our bodies change, but this would be something that seems off or abnormal. And if you're not sure, you just want to go and get it ruled out, right? You want to make sure that if it is cancer, that it's not just going to be growing and spreading. You also could have skin redness or darkening. Dimpling or puckering means that parts of the breast are going in, or nipple changes or discharge, or if your nipple is always going one way and it starts to pull to another direction, then that's something you want to be concerned of too, okay? Now, symptoms can vary from woman to woman or from anyone. So something else that we see is that people will assume, well, my friend had a lump in her breast, so they automatically think that's what breast cancer will look like. We're all genetically different, even if we have the same, came from the same family. So you want to know that breast cancer can appear differently in different people. Now, how we can reduce our risk are the things I've already talked about. Making sure you're really reducing inflammation, okay? So maintaining a healthy weight so you're not carrying a lot of extra body fat that can eliminate hormones or give out hormones and everything that can contribute to certain types of breast cancer. Make sure you're moving. You need things to circulate. And, of course, eating fruits and vegetables. We need those phytochemicals and nutrients so we can keep our bodies strong and our bodies can function the way they're designed to. We also, if you are on contraceptives or hormones, hormone replacement therapy, any of the types of things, you want to talk to your doctor about how it might connect, increase your risk for breast cancer. And sometimes if they need to know what your risk factors are. Your doctor may not be thinking about specifically about certain types of things affecting breast cancer. So you just want to make sure you remind them and just keep that way. You keep that communication open with your doctor. And also don't use tobacco and limit alcohol. Now, the recommendations in general for a breast cancer screening, first off, if you're male, you just want to make sure that you're talking to your doctor. And if you feel something that feels off or abnormal, you'll just go to your doctor. They would look at that, look at the area, possibly do a CAT scan or ultrasound. For women, ages 20 to 39, you typically would have a well woman exam where they will examine your breast tissue and they'll look for what might be abnormal. But you still have to talk with them. Advocacy is really big because sometimes people, like, your body, what feels normal, which direction your nipple's always been pointing to, what lump or bump has always been there. So you have to communicate that with your doctor to kind of be like, okay, this is a change, this is new, or this is not new. And after 40, if you're of average risk, you want to have your clinical breast exams, okay? And it's going to be a mammogram as well too. Now, if you're of higher risk, you may have to have mammograms earlier, okay? Okay, another question for you guys. Mammograms cause cancer? No. I hear this, I don't hear it as much as I used to, right? But then usually if people ask me that and they're carrying a cell phone, I think, you're still getting something from your cell phone, right? So the benefit with mammograms can catch the smallest amounts of cell changes or DNA changes that might be indicative of cancer developing before you might even feel a symptom. So it's really beneficial to have the mammograms because it can cause early detection. And early detection with any kind of cancer is key. The earlier you can catch it, the less invasive it is on your body, the easier the treatment will be, the less expensive, all of that. So we want to make sure we're doing our due diligence with that. Okay, let's go into colorectal cancer, okay? So again, this affects both men and women. So this is just a little bit of our anatomy here. So with colorectal cancer, what they're looking at specifically, they're looking at your rectum and your colon, okay? They're not looking in your small intestines, they're not looking in your stomach or your esophagus. So if someone has a colonoscopy and you're sedated, they're putting something in your rectum, going all the way through your colon to the very tip right here where it goes to the small intestines, and that's what they're looking at. Okay, so they're not going all the way through your small intestines. So this is something to kind of keep in mind. This is important because colorectal cancer has really been increasing, and it's been, in the past, people thought that colorectal cancer was something that affected older people only, but they're finding people in their 30s and in their 20s with colorectal cancer. And when you're younger, and you're developing symptoms, the last thing you're thinking is cancer. You're not thinking that it's cancer. And so typically people who are diagnosed at younger ages, they're diagnosed at late stages where it's harder to treat because they're not thinking that it's cancer. Now, there's all types of theories about why it's increasing, but just know that it is, okay? So again, people don't talk about their colons, right? People don't talk about this. And sometimes we normalize our symptoms. We start to think, oh, well, I've always had this. They don't think of it being any different. Let's go into some of the warning signs. Okay, so again, these are some of the warning signs, all right? However, I will say that all of these can sometimes be dismissed by having a big meal or by, an occasional use. So rectal bleeding, blood in the stool or toilet, diarrhea or constipation. So typically, if you're having these symptoms regularly, so this is like happening for about 2 weeks or so, then you want to talk to your doctor about it. And you also want to think about what's normal for you. Like, what it's been like for your body. So if this seems off or unusual, instead of guessing or wondering, just go in and talk to your doctor so they can rule out cancer. Okay, so you always want to rule it out. Now, typically with colorectal cancer, one benefit with colorectal cancer is they're typically slow-growing cancers compared to like breast cancer or other types of cancers. So, like for example, with breast, with mammograms, you're getting them every year. If you're having a colonoscopy and everything looks good, you might get it every 10 years, right? Because it takes a while for these to grow. But in this image, you're seeing a polyp. Polyps are abnormal cell growths, okay, this one is descending from a stalk walk, but some polyps can be flat up against the colon walls, okay? So that way it's like almost, as you can imagine a mole or something might be. If you have a colonoscopy, which I'll get into in a minute, they will remove all of these tissues. So anything abnormal that's not supposed to be there, they take it out, they test it, and they see if it's cancerous or not. So when you're done, you're kind of left with a brand new colon in a way, right? So it's just anything abnormal is removed. Some other warning signs, you can have a change in the size or shape of your stool. You can have stomach pain or cramping, a feeling to have a bowel movement, and there's no need to. So these are all potential warning signs too. Again, these will be symptoms lasting longer than 2 weeks, and they're not alleviated by over-the-counter meds. So if you're, having constipation or you're having, other things, and you're taking over-the-counter meds, you probably aren't noticing a difference. And so that's another sign that you need to go in and see someone. And just like in breast cancer, symptoms can vary from person to person. So the way it affects one person, it can affect someone else differently. All right, now this is going to be some of the same how we can reduce our risk. We want to eat more fruits and vegetables, okay, which gives us which are high fiber foods. Fiber, think of as fiber as like a broom or a sponge, right? It just goes through your system and it eliminates. It helps to increase your eliminations and make them, more fruitful, basically. You also want to eat less red meat, and this is something else people grimace about, especially here in Texas. And I get it. How people eat is very personal too. However, red meat, as we get older, it just takes longer to go through our system, okay? So if you're not eating a diet rich in plant foods, then that means that red meat is just sitting in your colon, it's fermenting, it's not eliminating fast enough, and that's why people get headaches. We gotta think about we should be eliminating very regularly, like, daily to multiple times a day. And if you're not, then you might be developing symptoms from the stool that's sitting in your colon. And so over time, that can contribute to abnormal cell growth, whether it's cancerous or not. So we want to make sure that we're eliminating as well as possible. Now, to distinguish, I like to always say, to know what is red meat, if the animal that you're eating, if it had 4 feet, that is red meat. Okay, if it had 2 feet or no feet, that is white meat, okay? Very easy to distinguish that way. 4 feet is red meat, okay? So in that example, pork is considered red meat. A long time ago, the pork industry tried to be, I know they used to say white meat, but it's not, it is red meat. I know. I know, because people are like, oh, pork. It's like, yes, pork is red meat. They tried, but it's considered red meat. So just be aware. The recommendations for red meat is going to be 18 ounces of red meat a week, and that is consuming 18 ounces of red meat a week, and that is what they consider limiting red meat. Okay, so keep it under 18 ounces a week. Okay, just a little bit more. Hold on. Okay, you also want to reduce your risk by getting screened. We cannot skip our screening exams, okay? Stay physically active, because again, it's going to move your bowels, and not smoking. Now let's talk about these screening exams. Now I'm going to preface colonoscopies, because we consider colonoscopy the gold standard, just because it's the only test for colorectal cancer where they actually are going in your colon and they're removing anything abnormal, okay? Anything else is just trying to see what type of cells are present. Now, because colorectal cancer has been increasing, it has dropped the age from 50 to 45, but that is someone of normal risk. If you know of anyone in your family who have had colorectal cancer, at a younger age, or, just develop it or more than once, you want to just talk to your doctor to consider being screened earlier, just for safety, okay? If your colonoscopies are good, you don't have a lot of polyps, you'll do them every 10 years because they are slow-growing cancers. Now, other options, because some people, well, first, with colonoscopies, it is a prep work people don't like. So if you have not, so the colonoscopy itself doesn't hurt. You're sedated, you basically go to sleep, you wake up, and it's done, right? But the prep work of trying to drink a big solution of liquid, yes, it's huge. Drinking that down and staying next to the toilet, you have to clean out your colon completely. Now they also have pills you can take that can also help to eliminate your colon. And so that's another option too. However, those pills can sometimes be hard on the liver, so they don't offer it to everyone. It's not something that works best for everyone. But typically, it's a day or so of that, and then a colonoscopy test. But, once every 10 years and removing all the abnormal things, sorry, that's really what's beneficial. Okay, so the other things you can do is a stool-based test. So one example of this is like Cologuard. Have y'all seen the commercials for Cologuard, like the little walking in test and everything? So, so Cologuard is a stool-based test. It's just what you sounds like. You take a sample of your stool. They have everything in the box for you. You send that in, but the difference is that with Cologuard, what they're looking for are DNA changes. They can look for blood that might be in your stool. They can also look for DNA changes, because as your stool is going through your colon, if there's any kind of abnormal cell growth that might be cancerous, that will possibly show up in your stool. Okay, so and if they find something that seems suspicious, you still have to go in and have a colonoscopy. Okay, so think of the stool-based test and virtual colonoscopies as steps that you want to take. You can take before a colonoscopy if you just want to avoid a colonoscopy, or you can just go straight into having a colonoscopy. The last is a virtual colonoscopy, and that's really where you're on a table, or they're doing a CAT scan or ultrasound of your abdomen, and they're looking for polyps. But there's a lot of twists and folds in your colon, so they may not be able to see everything, and if they do see something, they have to do a real colonoscopy. But some people are sensitive to sedation, or they just don't want to be poked or prodded, and so they may opt for these two things as well too, okay? Now, I will also say after the age around 75, your doctors may not want to do colonoscopies on you, and that is because our tissue's thin. And so then they want to outweigh the risk versus the benefit. So they may look at your history and see if you've had a lot of colonoscopies, and look if they look normal. They may say, you're good, you're okay, we don't want to do a colonoscopy on you, and maybe you can do a stool-based test or something else. So it's something they do, and they want to make sure they're outweighing the risk versus the benefit, okay? And I gave this answer away too. So yes, so colonoscopies are not painful. You are sedated, okay? All right, and last one, if you get cancer, there's no hope. False, very false. There's always hope. There are thousands of cancer survivors, and one thing I meet a lot of people at MD Anderson when they're going through treatment or have in the past, and sometimes I meet people who keep their symptoms private. They don't want to, and this is their words, they don't want to burden their family. They think they don't want to scare their families, and so they keep their diagnosis, their treatment. Some people keep it private, which, is, again, always a personal choice, but there's a lot of support out there. There's always things, I feel like it's something people should not have to go through alone. So always reach out, if someone's nervous to go and have an exam, there's support to go with you. There's someone that can go with you to even hear responses from other people to help you with doctors or when you're going through your appointments. Okay, almost ending here. So advantages and disadvantages. Some people can just ignore all of this and just leave everything up to chance, and some people do, right? Some people do, but the goal is that you're basically leaving up to chance. You see, if you're not going to your screening exams, you may develop symptoms, and you may develop cancers that could have really been treated early, where it would help you in the long run, okay? Or there may be no issue, right? Advantages to this is that just by taking a few moments to have your screening exams, you really are just doing what's best for your health, even if you choose or not choose to do some of the other things like eating well and exercising. If cancer's present, you always want to catch it early, okay? All right, and I have a question for you guys. So how confident are you that you can get your cancer screening exams, that you can just go in and do your cancer screening exams? If you're 0 to 5, that means you're saying, Andrea, I don't want to do it. I don't want to have my exams. I don't want to go in. Okay, and some people, and every now and then I meet people like that. If you're comfortable, you can tell me your reason why it's hard for that. If you are 6 to 10, that means you feel comfortable, like you feel like you're able to do this, okay? So is anyone in here 0 to 5? Okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yes, I understand, yeah. That's a great question. So one thing I like to tell people is that, first off, for colorectal cancer, March is Colorectal Cancer Awareness Month. And so there's always places in the month of March that will do cancer screenings for low cost. Also, United Way 211 is a great resource. They can tell you about different doctors or clinics that will do all types of exams, really what you might need that will be in your area. So I would say to do that. I would say you want to think about the risk versus the benefit. Even though you have to come up with a cost to have these exams done, it's going to cost a lot more to have cancer, right? So it's going to be more invasive. So you want to think about this is a thing you're doing to help you in the long run, right? So if you got to put stuff aside, but there are places that would do them low cost. For like breast cancer, there's the Rose, that they have mobile screening units, different places you can go to as well there too. And if I'm from MD Anderson, I want people to go wherever it's going to work best for them. Of course, I'm biased. I think we're great, but you can go wherever it's going to work best for you. And there are a lot of places that will do that. All right, great. Any other questions? Yes.
Work with the insurance to make sure they approve pre-colon cancer if your family has a history of colon cancer, because companies like UHC, that can be difficult to get them approved. Is that something MD Anderson or your facilities help you get approval for?
That's a great question. You have to find a doctor that will submit that. Will be able to submit that in a way that to your insurance it maybe will help it be approved. It really is more of what the doctor is saying, that this is a required test and so then maybe at that point they may be able to approve it. It's tricky. I've met some people who've had to go through all different types of loops to make sure they get these cancer screening exams early. If not, if it's something that you have to pay a little cost for, you may even have to pay more than if you were within the age, which is not fair, I know, but it's still beneficial to know, because the goal is that you want to know if cancer is present. Okay, so just keep working, don't give up on it. Just find a doctor. As far as MD Anderson, I do have a number for MD Anderson. Let me see if it's here. Is that here? Here. This number here. If you have questions, you can call them, and they may be able to direct you to a place that might help. I know not everyone can always come to MD Anderson, but I know we do screening exams, but this might be a place to at least start if you're trying to find someone to help you with getting the test that you need. Okay, yes, you had a question.
I wanted to know if colonics could be used as a preventative measure or a maintenance.
Or maintenance, okay.
Yes.
That's a great question, colonics. So colonics is more of where you're cleaning and trying to tone your muscles, and that can be beneficial, but but it's not, I wouldn't say it's preventative, because there's no way of knowing what type of cells are present, So with colonoscopies, they're going in and looking for abnormalities, and with the other two, they're getting DNA from those tests to see if there's something in there that tells them there may be cancer present. With colonics, as far as I understand, it's just more cleaning and nourishing and toning. It's good, right? I think it's good for maybe reducing inflammation, but as far as for cancer care, probably not. Yeah, but great question. Yes, other questions?
I just wanted to mention the Rose again.
Yes.
Because I believe they're a nonprofit organization, and they're volunteer, and they have resources, and they also provide community. So I volunteered with them for years, and so I had breast cancer, so I visited women who were diagnosed with breast cancer to give them support. I met some wonderful people like that.
Yes, yes. Thank you for sharing that. Yeah, I think they're great as well, too. And they're a good resource for people who don't have insurance. Like, they will not turn anyone down for mammograms who need that information. So, yeah, they're great. They're great, too. Yes. Other questions? No? Well, I do want to show really quick that we do these programs everywhere. So, of course, I know October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We're doing a lot of breast cancer presentations, but we do them all throughout the year. We do these presentations, many others. They're on our website at mdanderson.org/community. You can go there, you can request a program, or just print materials or an exhibit table, and they're all free. So if you belong to another organization, we can do that as well, too. All right. All right, thank you, guys. Okay, all right, thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. So much good information there. I'm going to, and some good questions. I'm going to bring up some announcements. And we have so many, I have to put the laptop up. Hold on. In addition to our events that are happening this month, we do have a lot of opportunities for volunteering that I alluded to earlier. First off, let's go through the social events. October 9th, Thursday, from 1:30 to 3 is midweek late lunch brunch at Nico's, that's on Montrose. Join for a late lunch and Gab Fest. Blues Night this month will be on Thursday, October 16th, from 7:30 to 11 at the Big Easy. Always a hot place. Blistering Hot Blues at the Blues Night. And let me pull this over there. Stop. Whatever you're doing, stop. Okay, so we mentioned this last week, but there are a lot of opportunities coming up for volunteering. This weekend will be Project Cure. That is at their facilities in the morning, I believe, is our shift. The week afterwards, Saturday, October 18th, is Katy Pride. We'll be tabling with other secular groups there, so if you can schedule a shift there, basically you're there to just speak about Oasis to people who, you know, might be open to the community. And then you can walk around at Pride, so win-win. The week after that, October 25th, is Woodlands Pride. Same deal. We do like to have people from all organizations kind of representing, be represented there. And then just to bring it up, October 26th, we're going to be having another blood drive here. I believe the bus will be here, the blood bus. Sounds ominous. But we did so well, they're coming back again. So let's see if we can help them out again. You can go to our meetup page. Please sign up there for shifts. The links are in those descriptions. So if you go there for Project Cure, any of the Pride shifts, and the blood drive, it's good to know how many people are going to be volunteering at those things. Let's see if I have. Next week, our gathering will be Creative Space. It's going to be another maker space, so very popular. We're bringing it back. It's going to be BYOL potluck as well. So bring some food, come bring some games or crafts that you want to work on. It's going to be a good time. And share. We all share. I mean, I guess you could sit in the corner. That'd be real weird. Let's see. I think that's all I have for announcements. We're going to go ahead and close out with 2 more songs from Ryan. Got the coolest suitcase over there, guys. Harmonica case. That is the biggest harmonica case I've ever seen.
Got a lot of harmonicas in there. Come on. This song you can find streaming everywhere. I'm on every platform, whatever you like to use. Spotify, Apple Music, iTunes, whatever. It all pays me 6 cents a month. I don't care. Just if you really like my music, go to Bandcamp. You can buy it there, and I actually see that money.
Bandcamp's amazing.
This song is called Apples. Well, apples are sweet when they fall from a tree. You pick them too soon, they're sour. There's something about the wait for a treat that gives that good feeling its power. So I'll wait, I'll always wait for you. A tree in a field can grow tall forever, barring lightning or fireman's rage. Lord, I feel pain, but I swear that I'll never see how one could not yearn for the shade. And I'll yearn, I'll always yearn for you. When I look outside, you're all that I see. I'm as tall as a tree, your presence dwarfs me. Though the road may be long, the field may be wide, it's apples to apples, your heart to mine. When I look outside, you're all that I see. I'm as tall as a tree, and your presence dwarfs me. Though the road may be long, the field may be wide, oh yeah, it's apples to apples, your heart to mine. Well, apples paint color against the pale wood, with a beauty that makes me unsteady. The gold like the sun, red like our blood, and green doesn't mean they're not ready. I'm the pale wood without you. You bring color to all that you do. I wrote this song for a BLM protest back in 2019. They asked me to write something. And I also turned out to use it in I do hour-long storytelling shows. I call them Arlos. I tell stories for an hour and play music over them. I wrote one called Powers. It's all about comic books and depression. And this song kind of fit into both things. This is called Superhuman. When it all gets too much, you can't find a light, you can't lift your head or your arms up to fight. Feels like the world doesn't want you, and you can't find a home, and no matter who's with you, you're always alone. When that unwelcome darkness is always around, and things in your head threaten to weigh you down, when you feel that scream building from deep in your lungs, take a breath, the breath always comes, and say, I am not broken, I am not broken, I am not broken, no, no. I am superhuman. Every hero has villains and a weakness or two, and a pain that they carry through all that they do. And every villain has heroes that push them toward the light, and they inch ever closer with every lost fight. When the nightmares and terrors of this modern age all hover above us as we start to wake, we scream to the gods of the air, or whatever's up there. You may bend us, we'll never break, because I am not broken, I am not broken, I am not broken, no, no. I am superhuman. Oh, hatred and fear and anxiety will turn to dust at the clap of our hands. We'll build a world of unity where love is the law of the land. Because we are not broken. We are not broken. We are not broken. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no. We are not broken. We are not broken. We are not broken. No, no. We are superhuman. Thank you, guys. Ryan, Adam Wells, appreciate you.
Thank you, Ryan. Amazing. I did find my more announcements to give. The deadline to register to vote is tomorrow, so you don't have to wait till tomorrow. Though we have Will in the back over there. He's a registered vote register. He can take care of you. Early voting is October 20th, and the regular voting is on November 4th. Raise your hand, Will. I assume everybody here is registered to vote, but there he is. Yeah. Okay, I have another announcement from Terry. She has something to present.
Hi, everyone. I just got here. I was running a little late this morning. I went to a wonderful art opening last night at the Jung Center. It is Laura Spector's Personal Stories, and Oasis has a personal connection to this. Her studio was part of that Sawyer Street arson event that happened two Decembers ago. And the air conditioner was on, so all the soot went into her studio, everything, and really got all over her art. Oasis came out and helped her empty her studio, wash down everything, take everything to a secondary place. And then many of us sat using the tools the Museum of Fine Arts gave us and helped restore the paintings, erasing with teeny erasers, and then using Q-tips and different stuff. And these pieces are the ones in her show. And so Oasis has a big hand in her success at the Jung Center. And if you get a chance to come see her show, it's going to be up from now until November 14th. Anyway, it was lovely, and she told me yesterday to thank every one of you for the hard work that Susan, yes. The Jung Center is Jung, 5200 Montrose Boulevard, right next to Contemporary Arts Museum. So please get by if you can. We recognize these. Susan, you'll recognize all the paintings because we, and those of you that worked on them, thank you so much for having this success. We'll have some of these up front, and one for you, Susan. Thanks. All right.
Thank you so much, Terry. Give yourself a round of applause. Human hands also solve fire problems. As the treasurer, I love asking you for money. So the room and the musicians and our speakers can cost money every week, so we meet here as a community. If you're able to give, on the back of the bulletin, there are ways, if you're not already set up. There's a hat in the back if you want to just drop cash or checks, but there's a couple of other ways too. If your workplace works with Benevity, you can ask them, and if they're set up and registered with them, we are registered with Benevity. So all you have to do is say, hey, I want to give to this organization. And they will, especially if they have a matching program, that's just, really powerful. They'll match, hopefully, your workplace will match whatever money you give. In addition to them, ask HR, they're probably the ones who are going to know. In addition to that, Kroger, Community Rewards, weird. If you do any shopping at Kroger, they also have a program. You just log into your Kroger account and search for our organization. It is code II, the letter I, 450, and we will show up, and they will take a little cut of any of your purchases, I think, and give it to us. Surprisingly, been increasing over the past couple of, it must be the stuff that I'm buying. Lunch today is at Moni's Pizzeria, I believe. Yes, that's at 2802 Milam. We will be continuing the conversation there, so join your fellow Oasians. And that's all I have. Go in peace, everybody. Enjoy your week.